Dear students, let us continue with our chapter. So next topic we have is types of resources. There are three types of resources. First, natural resources, human-made resources, and human resources. So what is this natural resources? Resources that are drawn from nature and used without much modification are called natural resources. Once again, look at the definition. Resources that are drawn from nature and used without much modification are called natural resources. Example: air, water, soil, minerals, etc. It means we are taking resources directly from the nature and without making any modification or any change, we are using it as it is. That's why it is called natural resources. Like example, we have air. In the air, we are not making any kind of change or modification, but we are using as it is present in the environment or in the nature. The next topic we have is human made resources. So the resources which are created from natural resources through human resources are known as human made resources. For example, buildings, bridges, roads, etc. So all these are human made resources because humans have made them resources according to their use. The third topic we have is human resources. People are human resources. It refers to the quantity and ability of the people. So people are themselves are human resources. Now, let us look at the natural resources in detail. So, the first point we have here is many of natural resources are free gifts of nature. The second point, these can be used directly, but in some cases we have to use tools and technology may be needed to use a natural resource to utilize it in best possible way. So, natural resources are classified into different groups depending upon their level of development and use. Depending upon their origin, depending upon their stock, depending upon their distribution. So the first thing we will see here is on the basis of their development and use, natural resources can be classified into two groups. So they are actual resources and potential resources. So what is actual resources? Actual resources are those resources whose quantity is known. These resources are being used in present. So example, the dark soils of the Deccan Plateau in Maharashtra. That means in actual resources, the quantity of actual resources is known to us and it is used in the present. Second we have is potential resources. So potential resources are those resources whose entire quantity may not be known, and these are not being used at present, just the opposite of actual resources. But this is due to the present level of technology is not advanced enough to easily utilize these resources. Example, the uranium found in Ladakh is a potential resource that could be used in the future. It means we do not use potential resources in the present, but we are not sure, but it can be used in the future. Now, based on their origin, natural resources can be classified into two groups. So, they are abiotic resources and biotic resources. So, what is abiotic resources? Abiotic resources are non living resources. That means those resources which do not have life, they are known as abiotic resources. For example, we have soil, water, rocks, etc. So all these resources do not have the life. The second thing we have here is biotic resources. So biotic resources are those resources which are living resources, okay, which have the life. For example, plants and animals. So these are the two resources which have life. Next, based on the basis of stock, natural resources are classified again into two groups. It is renewable resources and non-renewable resources. So what is this renewable resources? Renewable resources are those resources which get renewed or replenished quickly. For example, solar energy, soil, forest, etc. That means these are the resources which can be renewed and recycled and can be used later on. So, some of these are unlimited and are not affected by human activities such as solar or wind energy, while careless use of certain renewable resources like water, soil, and forest can affect their stock. So, students, if we use the resources carelessly, then there is a chance of facing scarcity of resources because they will be exhausted. Second we have is non renewable resources. So non-renewable resources are those resources which have a limited stock. You remember this. So non-renewable resources have limited stock. For example, we have coal, petroleum, etc. So these are the resources, they are in limited stock. So once the stocks are exhausted, it may take thousands of years to be renewed or replenished. Therefore, they are considered as non renewable resources. Next, based on the basis of their distribution, natural resources are divided into two groups. They are ubiquitous resources and localized resources. So, what is ubiquitous resources? So, ubiquitous resources are those resources which are found everywhere, like the air we breathe are ubiquitous because the air is found everywhere. That's why it is a ubiquitous resources. Same with the water as well. The second we have is localized resources. So localized resources are those resources which are found only in certain places. That means localized resources are not found everywhere, but it is found only in certain places. That means example we have copper, iron, ore, etc. So these are the resources, they are not found everywhere, but they are found only in certain places. That's why it is called localized resources. The distribution of resources is unequal over the earth and depends upon number of physical factors like terrain, climate and altitude. So the distribution of resources is unequal over the earth. So the next topic we have is human made resources. Natural substances become resources only when their original form has been changed. Example, iron ore was not a resource until people learned to extract iron from it. So in this case, the original form of iron ore has been changed into iron because iron is extracted from iron ore. That's why according to the definition, natural resources, that means natural substances, become resources only when their original form, that means original form is iron ore, has been changed. So once the iron is extracted from the iron ore, there is no more iron ore, it is changed into iron. So original form has been converted into a changed form, that is iron. So technology is also a human made resources because we human beings have made the technology. The next topic we have is human resources. People use the nature in the best possible way using their knowledge, skill, and the technology. Therefore, they are considered as human resources. So, all the people are considered human resources because it is their knowledge, skills, abilities leads to the creation of new or more resources. Education and health help in making people a valuable resource. Improving the quality of people's skills so that they are able to create more resources is known as human resource development. Please remember what is human resource development. So improving the quality of people's skills so that they are able to create more resources. That's why it is known as human resource development. Let us look at the final topic of the chapter, that is conserving resources. Under this topic we have is resource conservation. So what is resource conservation? Using resources carefully. Please mark it. Using resources carefully and giving them time to get renewed is called resource conservation. Okay, using resources carefully, after that giving the resources time to get renewed is called resource conservation. Whereas sustainable development, you look at now what is sustainable development. Sustainable development is the development which meets the needs of present and also conserve them for the future. Which means in the case of sustainable development we have is carefully utilizing resources so that besides meeting the requirements of the present, it also takes care of future generations. Now let us look at some of the principles of sustainable development. So the first principle we have is respect and care for all forms of life. Second, improve the quality of human life. Third, conserve the earth's vitality and diversity. Fourth, minimize the depletion of natural resources. Fifth, change personal attitude and practices towards the environment. And the sixth principle we have is enable communities to care for their own environment. It is our duty to ensure that all uses of renewable resources are sustainable. Second, the diversity of life on the earth is conserved. And the third, the damage to natural environmental system is minimized. So these are our duties that we have to ensure people, those who are living in the mother earth. So dear students, here itself we conclude our chapter. So if you are having any kind of difficulties or issues or problems or doubts, you can ask me in our WhatsApp group and I will be uploading the question answer in the Educare app, and I also will be sending it in the WhatsApp group. Thank you and have a nice day.